All right, so our final review of the day is going to be for the film Oldboy. Oldboy. This is the 20th anniversary of the film. They recently just came out with a remastered version of it that got it's in theaters right now. They re-released it in theaters. So it was the first time I ever seen this movie in theaters going into it, and I haven't seen this movie in a long time. So it was kind of nice going and watching this movie for I've seen it in so many years. But with Brandon and Jamarco, this was actually the very first time they seen this movie was when this remaster came out.
Yes, it was.
So it'd be interesting to hear you guys' thoughts on it. This is a film directed by Park Chan-Wook. It's considered one of the best films of all time. Especially not even just for the big twist that happens if you know what happens, but just the amount of emotion here, the great performances. There's some legendary scenes that are in here. People always go to the corridor fight, the hallway fight there. That always gets copied in a bunch of other stuff and other properties and other movies.
Everything.
Video games, like in just recently, Sifu did it, where they copied it. Sifu, the video game there. So very legendary film here. So the plot of this film is that you have a guy who gets in prison for 15 years. He's just stuck in this hotel type thing. Doesn't know why he's there. He ends up being released. And then he's trying to figure out who imprisoned him. Who is the person behind all this? And it's this mystery of him trying to, kind of figure out who's this person that did this to him. Aiding him in his journey is a young sushi chef there who's helping him, trying to figure out all this, and also his best friend as well. So, this movie and seeing it, even coming into it, knowing the big reveal at the end, it was kind of fascinating to watch it because it's like, does it still going to have that same impact? And it's still going to be a good movie, even knowing that. And I think it still is a great movie. Some movies purely rely on the twist of like, that's kind of what
a bad movie solely relies on its twist. A great movie adds more context on a rewatch when you know what the twist is.
Yeah. And I think that, this movie, there's so many great things that it does, and watching it, the slow build to it, the great performance by the lead actor. And there's something.
Choi Min-sik, who would work with Park Chan-wook again in both The Good, the Bad, and the Weird and I Saw the Devil.
Yeah. So that greatly performed. The opening of the movie is fantastic. Like they just immediately kind of sucks you in. The great music that plays. The music also in here is really good.
Gorgeous.
The opening of it. He's got this guy by his tie, and he's hanging him, off of a building, and he's saying introducing his name.
So that's kind of like a in media res in middle of action. So he wakes up on this rooftop. He meets this guy who's trying to commit suicide, and he just stops him, grabs him by this tie, and holds him up and explains pretty much the last 15 years, his routine, his being stuck inside this hotel room. And the second that this guy starts to say, "Well, let me tell you my story," Dae-soo just walks off.
I gotta go. I got stuff to do.
Very rude, by the way. That's very rude.
Hey, my man.
I mean, the guy was an asshole before he went into this prison.
Oh yeah, Dae-soo was a jerk.
I love that this movie doesn't ask you to sympathize with Dae-soo at all.
Yeah. Basically it's the best, what I mean? Let me tell you about my life. You're
wondering how I ended up here.
Yeah. And there's also narration in the movie, which I forgot some elements about this. I forgot that there was narration in it, that he's narrating mostly throughout it. And sometimes narration can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. Here it works really well because it's not just explaining things that you already can see with your own eyes, but it's really getting inside the character's head and his thoughts and his feelings, and especially for a character who's been so isolated for 15 years, eating the same thing, having the same routine, watching just television. His only connection to any humanity is television. And it's a great, you're seeing the passage of time, when he's watching the TV, all these different world events that you're seeing, like Princess Diana's death and 9/11. You're seeing all that. You see that he actually looks like a completely physically different person from when he first gets in there, from when he's out of there. So it is really amazing, a lot of stuff they do there.
Yeah, and I'm to this day, I'm not sure how much of that is just makeup, or maybe Choi Min-sik is just a bad motherfucker who decided to just drop all that weight throughout the whole prison ordeal.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear Jamarco and Brandon come in here since this was their first time seeing it. Brandon, what were some of your thoughts on Oldboy as a first time watcher?
Yeah. Well, I thought it was fun. No,
it's a great family film.
Like I had told Nick and Marco like before watching this, like the only thing I knew about this movie was the hallway fight and that he ate a live squid. So like everything else was just like how you mentioned Sifu earlier. Like I know they referenced that and like other types of media that had referenced Oldboy before, but I'd never like actually sat down and watched it. So sitting down and watching it last night, I was just enamored. Like I was into it. I couldn't move from my seat. Like, and if I had to pause it, I was like upset.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is fantastically just a fantastically directed movie. Like it's one of those movies where you're like, it can't really be that good. Like, is it the best movie of all time? And then it's like, oh yeah, it is.
Fuck, it might be.
It's a great time. Like how we mentioned before, like the what's lead actor's name?
Choi Min-sik.
Yeah, Choi Min-sik is just, he is going for it. Like he is giving his everything in this movie, and I absolutely loved watching him. I loved like almost every single scene. I'm trying to think. It was beautiful to watch. Transitions, the music was amazing. I immediately downloaded the score. But yeah, no, this movie it's one of those that like affected me in a way, like where after watching it, where I just had to like sit with my thoughts and be like, yep, I just watched that. I gotta think about that. Like I can't get like his smile, that like just that smile out of my like head. Yeah, like and like the quote, like if you're like you laugh, like the world laughs with you. But like if you weep alone. Yeah, I was like, fucking hell. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed watching this movie. It's a fantastic first watch. And one of those where like I kind of wanted to watch it again almost like right afterwards. Just to like pick up on things that I might not have picked up on in the first place. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed watching this, and I'm glad I watched it when I did.
Jamarco.
Whew. Yeah. When it comes to Oldboy, it's one of those movies that I would always see, like whenever there's like 100 greatest movies of all time, you'd always see Oldboy on there, and like throughout high school, like I remember, there was the big, there's a lot of gross stuff. I won't say gross, but it's like one of the hardest watches I've ever had in a movie. It's just some of the most visceral scenes I've ever seen in a movie, where it's, pulling teeth or, cutting off one's tongue. It just, I knew about those scenes, and I just heard about it through, the film Grapevine. So actually sitting down and watching it, I was just floored. I just was beside myself. Like every scene was just like eye candy. And for me, I was like, there's no way this was made in 2003, because it feels like, it came out like 3 or 4 years ago. Like the cinematography was just so far ahead of its time. The story was just so far ahead of its time. And recently I just been watching like a lot of Scorsese and a lot of like Apocalypse Now, about like the depravity of men and the gray area between morality, doing what's right, doing what's wrong. Can you still be a good man after doing all of these demented, horrible things? So it was just right up my alley, and it stuck with me. It just it's one of those movies that just grabs you by the throat, just like, come here. Just it's not, it doesn't let you off easy. It goes there. And I said this in my Indiana Jones review. It's like, it's one of those movies, like once you watch it, you can automatically tell everything that predestined it. You can automatically, okay, that ripped that off. Daredevil, you ripped that off.
Like, yeah, like it's one of those movies that with Oldboy, it came out in 2003 and was so revolutionary to not just the action genre, which we've spoken about, is like, yeah, this is completely revolutionary. You saw so many countless different films try to do their Oldboy oneer.
Yep.
And even films like the Oldboy remake by Spike Lee try and fail to do the Oldboy oneer.
Spike.
I love you, bro, but
I'm gonna let that one slide. I'm gonna let that one go.
Yeah, but in terms of like the mystery and neo-noir genre,
exactly.
and how gripping this entire mystery is, because we're not given shit to start off this movie.
Nope. Figure it out. Even the main character, he's playing with Dae-soo. You're like, oh, who am I? Oh, you want to go?
He is, yeah. And
you figure it out.
And when you get to the reveal of what Dae-soo actually did to this man, it's just the most innocuous thing.
Oh my gosh.
And it was this just insane, elaborate levels of pettiness and vengeance that it took to pull off something this complex.
Yeah.
And this movie, I think this movie is interested in peeling back the layers of what does it mean to be somebody with this level of vindictiveness.
Really about vengeance. Vengeance is one of the core themes here of it, and what would you do for the vengeance? And you talk about, Nick mentioned the remake that happened in 2013, which actually is, I guess it's the 10-year anniversary when that movie came out, but nobody gives it.
We don't need to give it.
Which Spike Lee, when I watched it in theaters, the 03 version, I went home and then I turned on the remake of it. And it was directed by Spike Lee, as mentioned. And Spike Lee, I like. Sometimes Spike Lee can be kind of hit or miss. It depends. Sometimes it's like he really hits or he really misses. He can really hit with something like Do the Right Thing or Malcolm X, or he'll do something kind of forgettable like Miracle at St. Anna or something like that, or what I mean, a movie like that. Yeah. So with this, I feel like with Oldboy, I don't put too much blame on. I feel like it was kind of like a gun for hire situation, where it's kind of like, hey, maybe you just come on, we need you to direct this, and we'll fund your next thing or whatever. But the Oldboy remake had been in, tossed around for a long time. At one point, it was even Steven Spielberg was attached to direct it, and Will Smith back in the day. So, yeah.
I don't think America would have gone that far, though. That's just my thing about it.
Yeah, and when you watch the American remake of it, they didn't. And it's almost like when you really look at two films, it's like it kind of raises up the 03 version even more, because it's like this is how amazing this movie is, and this is how badly you fucked it up, and this is kind of in comparison. You see where the movie excels so much, and then the other one fails so much, and saying that like the beginning of the movie, in the 03 version, you see it open up with him drunk at a police station. You see that kind of one of the opening sequences of the film, and it kind of does a good job at showing like, okay, this is kind of who this guy is. He's kind of a fuck up, a little bit of an alcoholic. He's kind of given all this kind of dialogue. He's married, he's got a daughter, all that's kind of delivered right away there. It's not, you don't have to have a scene where he's kind of looking at a photo of his kids or what I mean, something like that. You compare that to the remake.
It's Wok actually trusting his audience to put two and two together, and letting Choi Min-sik actually act out this role and fill us in on who this person is.
Yeah.
You know what, Josh? What you just said about their whole argument about Oldboy being in development hell, that is exactly why I don't want them to touch Akira. Because they've been trying. They've been trying for like 20 years. Don't do it.
So you see kind of like that's kind of great. And then, it kind of goes really quick to him being in prison. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden his friend is picking him up from the police station. He's talking, he's like, hey, I'm going to be home. And then all of a sudden, just boom, he's gone. Just like that. You know what I mean? And, just by Choi Min-sik, really great. I mean, just all this when you see the man's desperation.
Not even just get out. It's like one of the earlier scenes. It's like they open up the little hatch where they slide his food in, and he's just trying to squeeze his head in. It's like, hey, tell me why I'm here.
What's happening?
So I think, that stuff is really great. And the stuff with, when he kind of gets out, and how this dude, who's manipulating things is really just toying with him this whole time. It's just, he's pulling the strings every step of the way. And you kind of see that. So again, that kind of build to things there. I would say my only criticism with this film, if I have anyone, is kind of the ending when it comes to the explanation that they give of like, I guess that's how that works. I mean, you know what I mean? When they kind of do the whole big thing, is like, okay, I guess you just gotta go with it.
I mean them explaining the hypnosis that they do.
Yeah. You know, which I guess you just kind of gotta go. I don't know much about hypnosis, but
the shit's not an exact science, so I guess you can.
I could have bought it.
You know, and they try to, you know, give a thing. It's like, oh well, they try to throw in something that's saying, like, oh well, you're just really, really super susceptible to it. Turns out, you know.
You're a
so I was like,
hey, some people are to that level.
Yeah, you know, some people are, and this guy, some of his decision making isn't always the best. I mean, you can see that even when he wasn't even in prison and afterwards. So some of his decision making wasn't the best. So why he decides to trust some people is kind of like, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about those kind of criticisms that I just kind of put out there of the film?
It could be a little. Yeah, I can get it. I think. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, for me, it's like a lot of that is just pure nitpick, because even Woo Jin, as who's the main villain of this, as he's laying out how he pulled it off, it's like even he was like, yeah, we weren't even sure if that was gonna work.
But hey, look at you.
Yeah. Brandon, what do you think?
Oh yeah, no, the hypnosis and stuff didn't bother me at all, especially considering like this dude's been in isolation for like 15 years. And like just what I've read about like isolationism and what that does to a person's like mind alone, like I can see why he could even be more susceptible to it like after all of that. So like the hypnosis stuff didn't bother me at all. Like it kind of went with how like almost crazy this like this master plan that Woo Jin had. Like he played the longest con, so I was already like in.
Yeah, I gotta admit, this guy Woo Jin leaves Nick says the main villain of it. Man, this nigga is King Petty.
God,
I mean, King.
Man.
Wow, like Jesus
Petty,
Christ.
Tom Petty.
Tom Petty.
Wow,
but that's also kind of what makes him such a terrifying antagonist, because he has all of this money. He could do literally anything else with his time. And he chooses to spend the last 15 years of his life fucking with this one dude.
Yep.
Be careful who you spread rumors about.
Yeah. And the thing is, when everything kind of happens, and we're gonna keep it a secret because, you know, in case you hadn't seen the movie, it's
it's definitely an experience to go in cold the first time you see it.
I wouldn't do that to you,
or as cold as you can go.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm gonna keep the big reveal secret. But yeah, when all happens, it's like really his friend deserves a lot of the smoke. I mean, I don't know why his friend didn't get any of the smoke.
More of the smoke than him.
Yeah. Why is he getting tortured and getting his teeth pulled out? He's like, oh damn, Daisy, that sucks, man.
Yeah, like, you know, like I don't know why the friend wasn't involved at all, because the friend, when you really see this, like the friend seemed like more of the aggressor than anybody of you know, doing what he did. But yeah, so I was kind of always wondering that. Watching, it's like, why didn't his friend get any of the smoke like he did? But yeah, so that was kind of something there. But yeah, so yeah, I just had some, those are, I guess Nick said those are some nitpicks there with it. I mean, still like an amazing movie. Jamarco makes the cinematography. I mean, so many great shots in here that you see. I mean, you know, everybody's always going to talk about the corridor shot there that you see that was all done in one take. And what makes that really special is that, you know, you see people get tired here.
Yeah, you see people get tired. You feel like Dae-soo is in legitimate danger because the fight is going back and forth. He isn't just mowing through all of these guys like Josh Brolin does in the remake. He's getting his ass whooped at multiple points throughout this scene. It's just he's so driven by vengeance that he continues to get back up.
And that's what I love about it. Like, you go into this movie, you think you see him, Dae-soo just looks cool with the crazy hair and the glasses. But they're like, he's not John Wick. Okay.
No, he's just a dude who watched a lot of boxing on TV.
Yep. He spent 15 years fighting a wall and he wants to get out and just punch something.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you see people slipping, you see people falling. There's a reason why most of them are coming one by one, because it's kind of like a tight area here.
Tight space. It's like you see it from Dae-soo's perspective. You really see how small this corridor actually is. They literally can only attack one at a time.
You know, yeah. So it is.
Right, I'm getting excited.
I'm sorry. What are we talking about?
You know, yeah. So you see, there's a reason for them to come out. It's referenced in tons and tons of stuff.
Everybody,
people just swinging, missing. Like that dude, he just whiffed. Oh damn, he whiffed completely. You see that one dude? Like he tried to do an uppercut.
Yes.
Look, he's like one dude. He's like, whoop. Look at that.
I need this with like
sound effects.
No, I was thinking Ed, Edd n Eddy sound effects.
Oh yeah, that's even better.
But yeah, Josh mentioned like one of my favorite aspects about like the fight. Like I love in like action movies when like the dude is not a superhero. Like I love seeing people getting like equally messed up.
Yeah, and Dae-soo is going through like 2/3 of that fight with a knife in his back.
Right?
Yeah. You know what that scene reminded me of? You guys said when people get tired of fight scenes, Nobody. The fight scene on the bus.
On the bus, that's perfect.
Yeah, like they're all just fucked up, and they still keep getting up. Bob Odenkirk's like, "All right, well, come on, let's go."
Yeah, it's like nobody. It's like the first punch that lands, it's on Odenkirk.
Yeah,
he's getting his ass whooped for most of it.
The relationship aspect of this movie is also really great. When he is with the sous chef here, she also does an amazing job. Kang, that's Kang Hye-jung, who plays Mido. Mido in this. So again, I don't want to compare it, bring up the American version of them because they didn't really do.
At this point, there's kind of no way of getting around it.
If we don't bring it up, somebody else will.
Yeah, but here even though there is some kind of questionable stuff about how they first meet, because Dae-soo tries to assault Mido when he first meets her.
Yeah.
Which is, wow, this is not aged well.
Yeah. Dae-soo, like not a romantic.
Nope.
Yeah. And she's like, I was like, it being 2003, and there's, like you said, he tries to assault her, and then she kind of comes out and apologizes to him. You know what I mean? Like,
that was just funny to me. He's
that was like the thing. It was like he apologized first, which I guess that's like okay. All right, moving on.
Yeah. She was like, I did bring you over though. So
hey, I want to just give me time.
Yeah, just not on the first day, dude. You passed out, dog. I don't even know who you are.
I mean, they are pretty close already. I mean, she did put suppositories up his ass, so I guess they are kind of pretty.
That's friendship. If that's not friendship, I don't know what is.
So the relationship is also kind of really good. Then I think that's also a really great thing that the American version didn't really delve too heavy in, of like the connection there and why she is helping him, and you feel that. What do you guys think about that?
Well, yeah, for me, I feel like because Dae-soo's been locked up so long, so when he finally meets somebody like Mido, it's like this is like his one source of light. Like he's just spent so much time in the dark. He's like, this girl, I don't know who she is, but she's helping me. She might as well just stick around because this is a guy who has just lost everything.
And something that I don't think gets talked about enough with the relationship between Mido and Dae-soo is this kind of like almost kind of kindred spirit bond between the two of them, because Mido in like a scene is kind of a loner. It's like she doesn't really have a lot of friends, no other real family, so she kind of feels like a little bit of kindred spirits with Dae-soo.
Exactly.
Yeah. Brandon, some of your thoughts.
Oh no, yeah, I absolutely love like their relationship that they had. Like I'm trying to think what it reminded me of, but it might not be anything. It's just like I love like a guy down on his luck, like has nobody to turn to, and like this woman's just like, yeah, I'll help him. He's this weirdo. But no, like from their first scene together in like the sushi restaurant, like when like he's like, I want something alive, and just like her reaction to that, and like how they kind of immediately connect. Like I don't know, it was just interesting to see like their relationship develop, and like even him like going like from like, oh, should I trust this woman, like why she might be in with the bad guy and stuff like that. But like that back and forth, and then like when they finally kind of, you know, continue working together, like I just enjoyed that like when they basically started being amateur detective together. That was just like really fun to watch, and just like you guys said, like just two weird kindred spirits trying to like work through this messed up, fucked up mystery.
Exactly.
Yeah. And when it gets to the very final ending, the ambiguity of it is also pretty great. You know,
the final frame where you're like
that final frame, it's basically the stuff of nightmares when you get to the real implications of what that final frame means. And it's one of those things that's been debated basically since the original movie came out.
So I like that. I like that movie is just kind of open to interpretation there. And, you know, not in a way that's like, you know, you come up with your own ending, you know, and we didn't do shit. But
it's like, yeah, this happened. What are these characters feeling, or did anything matter? Because even in the movie, it's like Dae-soo has this one monologue. It's like, if I go through with this and finish this entire search, will I have like redeemed the old Dae-soo? Is Dae-soo even a real person anymore? Or is it just this animal that has come out of the cage?
And it goes back to like the first line that the suicide guy said, like, if though I may be a beast, like, do I not deserve to live?
Exactly.
Like, it's just I gotta shout out our dude Bradley Martin. Like after I watched it, he said like the final shot is like pure white, clean slate, but not for us. And I was like,
exactly. They're fine. We're not.
Or is it?
No.
Or
like, damn it, why you gotta be so right?
Or is he?
Yeah.
So yeah. Any kind of final thoughts and rating for them?
Damn. Yeah, this is an absolutely perfect movie. Just everything from its cinematography to its score to the performances of both Choi Min-sik and Kang Hye-jung. All of it speaks so well, and Park Chan-wook tells this beautifully haunting story about this man's quest for vengeance, and gets down to humanity at its barest bones possible. And asks, are we anything other than just our like most primal and worst instincts? And to this day, it's a question that remains ambiguous. I absolutely adore this movie. This is absolute cinema. And I'm so glad that I got the chance to be able to see it in a movie theater in my lifetime.
Well, Brandon.
Like this is an amazing movie. Like I can't wait to rewatch it, but at the same time I want to like let it breathe.
You just
let it breathe for a minute. But yeah, no, this is just like fantastically acted, directed, like everything. Like I can't think of like one aspect that like I didn't like. But yeah, like I'm a huge fan of like ambiguous endings, or like just like endings that leave you wondering. So like this definitely hit like a spot like for me that like just I thoroughly enjoy. Like I think the ending like really just set it over the top for me.
Agreed.
But I would say like if you want to watch this and you haven't, like definitely go in blind. Don't even watch a trailer or anything. Don't read anything. Just like go in blind and enjoy yourself ? But yeah, no, love the I think like I gotta play like one scene without trying to spoil it, but like how Dae-soo is at the end of the movie, and it's basically like how he was at the beginning. We talked about it, like when he has like that little door for like food and he's like on the ground crawling. And I like how they kind of bring that back at the end, and just like how like through this whole movie he's not showing a lot of emotions on his face unless he's doing that smile. But like at the end, like he goes all out, and it's just fantastic. The villain is probably one of the most sadistic and pettiest villains in cinema, and I love him but hate him at the same time. But yeah, this is absolute cinema, and I say to watch this ASAP. Probably watch it with your family.
Great Father's Day flick.
Happy Father's Day, people.
Exactly.
Did you see the ending coming at all? Did you have any sense of what was coming?
I did. I guess like with the aspect with Dae-soon, I did kind of like, I was like, is this about to happen? No, it can't be. And then it did. But like with the villain and stuff, like I didn't see that, or like you know, like the ending in the snow. I didn't see any of that coming. Like otherwise I was surprised.
Okay. Jamarco.
Well, what's there to say that has been said, you know, for 20 years, man? And for me, because you know how you hear about movies that are like, this is the greatest of all time, and you watch, you're like, this is not one. This
is not that case.
This deserves all of the praise and all of the influence. It won the Grand Prix at Cannes. Tarantino talked it up. Like everybody, Roger Ebert. It's your favorite movie lover's favorite movie. Yeah. It is like the pinnacle of action. If you love David Fincher, there's something there for you. If you love like action kung fu badass, where you saw us playing the hallway fight, how we are reacting. You know, if you love like torture, like Saw, there's just something for everybody. It's romance. But let me finish my point, yo. No, but yeah, but it's one of those films that just, as soon as you see it, it grabs you by the throat, doesn't let go. It's one of the greatest achievements in all of cinema, not just South Korean cinema, just cinema, period. There wouldn't be a Parasite without this movie, I'm sure.
It's one of the beautiful things about the medium of cinema is that even something in a foreign language, stuff that might have different cultural significance, it can still translate pretty universally.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of the beautiful thing about Park Chan-wook's career in South Korea, and a lot of his films that have made it really big over here. Stuff like Oldboy, stuff like I Saw the Devil.
And I want to bring up Bong Joon-ho. I just brought him up, but what he said at the Oscars, and I want to tell you all this: like, if you overcome the burden of subtitles, you will allow yourself to watch so many incredible movies. And this is one of those. It is transcendent. It is revolutionary. It has paved the way for millions of imitators, but there's nothing that comes close to this.
Often imitated, never replicated.
Never duplicated at all. It is haunting. It is visceral. It makes you think. And like I said earlier, I've been watching a lot of movies just about like the hearts of men. You know, Apocalypse Now, Taxi Driver, Fight Club.
A lot of movies about the folly of men.
Yeah. So, and this is just one of those. It is probably the best of them, if not the best. It takes you to a place you didn't know you could go watching a movie. So if you didn't know, now you know. Absolute 100,000% peak fucking cinema. Watch this film. Go to a theater. Buy it. Just it's one of those movies you have to see before you die. It is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Did both of you see it in theaters?
I did not.
Unfortunately not.
But I wanna. I'm gonna go to a screening now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm planning to go to see it in a theater this week, as I didn't get a chance to last week for the show.
Man, this with a full audience, and they've never seen it. Let's see Letterboxd type that.
I'm loving a lot of these like stories about, since it's being re-released in theaters, people who have like taken like a date to it and say that's it. We're done here.
Great date movie.
Fantastic. It's a great feel good movie.
Yeah. This is an amazing film through and through. This is cinema for sure. You know, and watching this film, I saw it already, but I haven't seen it in such a long time. So going back and rewatching it again, and especially seeing it in theaters, was a great experience. And seeing the buildup, seeing the tension, seeing the mystery, the amazing performance here by the lead actor, and you mentioned the ending scene when he gets the big review. I mean, he just goes through all the gambit of emotion there. You know,
he's literally going through all 5 stages of grief in the span of like that one scene.
Yeah. It's about as low as a human can get.
Yeah. which is really amazing there. So really great lead actor performance there, and everybody's also really great here. From the main antagonist to the love interest in it, everybody does a fantastic job. And how influential this movie has been in cinema, throughout so many years. As you mentioned, like all these great people raved about this movie, its influence, people who referenced it tons of bunch, and all other forms of media, as we mentioned, like with video games like Sifu and everything like that, and other different works. That goes to testament to show you how great this movie is. If you have never seen it, I highly recommend checking it out, and going in and cold as possible. Now that it's the 20th anniversary, they did a remaster of it. They restored a lot of stuff of it.
Yeah,
it's a lot cleaner.
Put out by Neon, who
Shout out to Neon.
who also released Infinity Pool earlier this year.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So very, very awesome there. This is I can't say enough about this film and singing its praises. This is cinema for Oldboy. So all this is cinemas all around for Oldboy.